The crackling of the fireplace beside you creates a gentle rhythm, a soothing backdrop that carries you back through the centuries to a time when life moved at the pace of the seasons. Medieval Europe, spanning roughly from the 5th to the 10th century, was a world vastly different from our own. Picture, if you will, the soft glow of candlelight illuminating stone walls, the gentle sound of water trickling from a well, and the simple, unhurried way people approached their daily tasks. In this era, bathing and personal cleanliness held meanings far removed from our modern understanding. The medieval world operated on different principles, different rhythms, and different beliefs about the human body and its care. As you settle deeper into your comfortable space, imagine yourself as a gentle observer, watching these ancient practices unfold with the curiosity of a historian and the peace of someone drifting towards sleep. Medieval hygiene was not the neglected, dirty affair that popular culture often portrays. Instead, it was a complex system of beliefs, practices, and social customs that made perfect sense within the context of its time. The people of the Middle Ages understood cleanliness, though they defined it differently than we do today. They valued fresh air, clean water when available, and the maintenance of social order through appropriate grooming and dress. The medieval day typically began before dawn, when the first bells of the monastery or the crow of the rooster announced the coming of light. People would rise from their simple beds, often shared with family members for warmth, and begin their morning routines. These routines were governed by the availability of water, the season of the year, and one's position in society. The wealthy had access to more resources, while peasants made do with what nature and their modest circumstances provided. Water was precious in many medieval communities. Wells were community gathering places, and the daily collection of water was often a social activity. People understood the value of clean water for drinking, cooking, and yes, for washing. However, the elaborate bathing rituals we know today were neither practical nor, in many cases, considered necessary. The medieval understanding of health and cleanliness operated on principles that had been passed down through generations, blending practical knowledge with religious beliefs and social customs. The concept of personal space and privacy as we understand it today was largely foreign to medieval people. Families often shared single rooms, and personal hygiene was frequently a communal activity. Children learned grooming habits by watching their parents and elders, absorbing not just the practical aspects of staying clean, but also the social significance of proper appearance and the spiritual dimensions that medieval people attached to the care of their bodies. Religion played a significant role in shaping attitudes toward cleanliness and the body. The medieval Christian church taught that the body was a temple, something to be cared for but not indulged. This created a complex relationship with bathing and grooming. Too much attention to the body could be seen as vanity, while too little care could be viewed as a failure to respect God's creation. Finding the balance was part of the daily spiritual life of many medieval people. The tools and techniques available for personal hygiene were simple but effective within their context. Soap, when available, was typically made from animal fats and ashes, creating a harsh but functional cleansing agent. More often, people relied on water alone, sometimes warmed over the fire, and various natural substances that could aid in cleaning. Herbs played an important role, both for their cleansing properties and their pleasant scents. The rhythm of medieval hygiene followed the seasons. In winter, when water was scarce and heating, it required precious fuel. People adapted their cleaning routines accordingly. Summer brought opportunities for more frequent washing, often in natural water sources like streams and rivers. These seasonal variations created a natural ebb and flow to personal care that was completely integrated into the larger rhythms of medieval life. As we continue this journey together, let the crackling fire beside you remind you of those medieval hearths where water was warmed for washing and families gathered at the end of long days. The gentle sounds create a bridge across the centuries, connecting you to the simple, unhurried pace of life when people had time to appreciate the small rituals that marked each day. Let your breathing slow as you imagine the peaceful simplicity of those times, when each task had its purpose and its season, and rest was something to be savored and appreciated. The gentle warmth from your fireplace continues to embrace you, as we explore the intimate spaces where medieval people attended to their most basic needs. Unlike our modern bathrooms with their gleaming fixtures and running water, medieval hygiene took place in a variety of locations, each serving its purpose within the broader context of daily life. Close your eyes and let your mind wander to these simpler times, where every drop of water was valued and every moment of personal care was approached with mindful intention. In medieval castles and manor houses, the wealthy often had access to what we might generously call bathrooms, though these spaces bore little resemblance to what we know today. These were typically small chambers, sometimes built into the thick stone walls of the castle, with a simple hole that led to a chute directing waste away from the living areas. The medieval people called these garderobes, a French term that literally meant place to keep clothes, reflecting the dual purpose these rooms often served. The garderobe was usually positioned strategically within the castle's architecture, often built into an exterior wall so that waste would fall directly into a moat, river, or designated pit below. This wasn't mere convenience. It was ingenious engineering that understood the importance of keeping waste away from living and food preparation areas. The medieval mind, while lacking our modern understanding of bacteria and disease transmission, intuitively grasped the importance of sanitation. For the common people, the arrangements were different, but no less thoughtfully conceived. Village houses rarely had indoor facilities. Instead, families used outdoor privies, simple structures built over pits dug away from wells and food storage areas. These privies were often shared among several families, creating small community spaces where social interaction naturally occurred. Children learned proper use and etiquette from their elders, and the maintenance of these facilities was a shared responsibility that strengthened community bonds. The positioning of privies revealed a sophisticated understanding of water flow and contamination prevention. Medieval people knew instinctively to place these facilities downhill from their water sources and away from their gardens where they grew food. This knowledge, passed down through generations of practical experience, kept communities healthier than we might expect given their limited understanding of disease transmission. In monasteries, the approach to sanitation reflected the religious community's emphasis on order, cleanliness, and communal responsibility. Monks often built elaborate systems for waste management, including running water where possible and carefully planned drainage systems. The monastery's reredotor, or communal latrine, was typically built over a stream or connected to a sophisticated waste removal system that kept the living areas clean and pleasant. The materials used in these medieval facilities were simple but effective. Wealthy households might have wooden seats, sometimes padded with cloth for comfort, while simpler arrangements used stones or logs positioned over the waste pit. Toilet paper, as we know it, didn't exist, so people used a variety of natural materials: leaves, moss, straw, or small stones. In wealthier households, scraps of linen or wool might serve this purpose, materials that could be washed and reused, reflecting the medieval principle of wasting nothing. Privacy, while valued, was understood differently in medieval times. Communal facilities were the norm rather than the exception, and people were comfortable with arrangements that might seem intrusive to our modern sensibilities. This communal aspect of bodily functions was simply part of life, neither shameful nor particularly noteworthy. Children grew up understanding that these basic needs were shared human experiences, fostering a matter-of-fact attitude toward the body and its functions. The maintenance of these facilities required regular attention and community cooperation. Pits needed to be filled in and new ones dug, a task that involved the entire community. This work was typically done during specific seasons when the ground was suitable for digging and when prevailing winds would carry any unpleasant odors away from living areas. The timing of this maintenance reflected the medieval understanding of seasonal cycles and their careful attention to the practical details of daily life. Wealthy households sometimes employed servants, specifically responsible for maintaining sanitation facilities and managing waste removal. These positions, while humble, were essential to the smooth functioning of the household and required knowledge, skill, and reliability. The medieval world recognized that all work had dignity and that the maintenance of cleanliness and health required everyone's participation. Water for cleaning was typically brought in basins or pitchers, heated over the fire when necessary and used sparingly. The concept of hand washing after using facilities was well understood, though the means were simpler than our modern arrangements. A bowl of water, perhaps scented with herbs, and a linen cloth for drying served the purpose adequately. This ritual of cleansing, performed with whatever materials were available, reflected the medieval understanding that caring for the body was both a practical necessity and, in many ways, a spiritual practice. As you continue to relax in the warm glow of your fire, imagine the peaceful acceptance with which medieval people approached these daily necessities. Their lives were integrated in ways ours often are not, where every aspect of existence had its place in the larger rhythm of community life. Let this image of simple acceptance and practical wisdom guide you deeper into tranquility, where the basic needs of life are met with neither shame nor extravagance, but with the quiet dignity of people who understood their place in the natural order of things. The soft sounds of your fireplace mingle with the gentle imagery of water flowing through medieval landscapes, creating a soothing soundscape that carries you deeper into this peaceful exploration of the past. Water was the foundation of medieval hygiene, yet its availability and quality varied dramatically depending on location, season, and social circumstance. As you settle more comfortably into your space, let your mind drift to those simpler times, when every drop of clean water was recognized as a precious gift and treated with the respect it deserved. Medieval communities were invariably built around water sources. Rivers, springs, and wells determined where people could establish permanent settlements, and the quality of these water sources often determined the health and prosperity of the communities that grew around them. The sound of flowing water was the constant background music of medieval life, as essential and comforting as the crackling fire that accompanies us now on this journey toward peaceful sleep. Village wells were often the heart of community life, places where people gathered not just to collect water, but to share news, conduct business, and maintain the social bonds that held medieval communities together. The daily journey to the well was a ritual that structured the rhythm of domestic life. Early morning and evening were the preferred times for water collection, when the air was cooler and the water appeared freshest. Children learned responsibility by helping to carry water, and elders shared wisdom during these quiet moments of community gathering. The medieval understanding of water quality was surprisingly sophisticated, based on centuries of observation and practical experience. People knew to avoid water that appeared cloudy, smelled unpleasant, or came from sources where animals had died. They understood that water flowing from rocky springs was often safer than water from ponds or slow-moving streams. This knowledge, passed down through generations, kept communities healthier than we might expect given their limited scientific understanding of contamination. In castle households, water management was a complex undertaking that reflected both practical needs and social hierarchies. The lord and lady of the castle required water for bathing, which was typically done in wooden tubs lined with linen cloth to prevent splinters and provide comfort. Servants hauled countless buckets of water from wells or springs, heating it over kitchen fires in large cauldrons. The logistics of providing hot water for a noble's bath required planning, coordination, and considerable labor, making bathing a special occasion rather than a daily routine. Monasteries often developed some of the most sophisticated water management systems of the medieval period. Monks understood the connection between clean water and community health, and they invested considerable effort in creating reliable water supplies. Many monasteries built elaborate aqueduct systems, channeling fresh spring water through cleverly designed stone channels that brought clean water directly into the monastery complex. These systems often included settling pools where sediment could collect, primitive but effective filtration systems using sand and gravel, and distribution networks that supplied water to kitchens, latrines, and washing areas. The seasonal availability of water shaped every aspect of medieval hygiene practices. Spring brought the renewed flow of streams and springs that had been frozen or reduced during winter. This was often the time for more elaborate cleaning activities, when communities might undertake major washing projects, cleaning stored linens and garments that had accumulated during the darker months. Summer provided the warmest water and the most comfortable conditions for bathing, whether in natural streams or in prepared baths. Autumn was a time of preparation, when communities would repair wells, clean water storage areas, and ensure adequate supplies for the coming winter. The medieval mind was always thinking ahead, planning for the seasons when water would be scarce or difficult to access. This forward-thinking approach to resource management reflected a deep understanding of natural cycles and the importance of preparation in ensuring community survival and health. Winter brought its own challenges and adaptations. When surface water sources froze, communities relied more heavily on deep wells and stored water. Ice could be harvested and melted for washing purposes, though fuel for heating water was often scarce during the coldest months. People adapted their hygiene routines to these constraints, perhaps washing less frequently but more efficiently, using heated stones to warm washing water, and employing techniques that maximize the cleaning benefit of limited water supplies. Water storage was a crucial skill in medieval households. Large ceramic vessels, wooden barrels, and stone cisterns held water for daily use. These containers required regular cleaning to prevent contamination, and households developed careful routines for maintaining water quality over time. Covering water containers to prevent contamination, regular cleaning of storage vessels, and rotating water supplies to ensure freshness were all part of the medieval householder's essential knowledge. The social aspects of water access created some of the most interesting dynamics in medieval communities. Public wells and springs were often governed by elaborate customs and rules that ensured fair access for all community members. Certain times of day might be reserved for different social groups, or specific wells might be designated for different uses: drinking water, washing water, or water for animals. These arrangements reflected the medieval understanding that water was a shared resource requiring community cooperation and mutual respect. Wealthy households sometimes had access to what we might consider luxury water sources, private wells, elaborate bathing chambers, or imported water from particularly prized springs. However, even among the wealthy, water was never taken for granted. The knowledge that water was finite and precious permeated all levels of medieval society, creating a culture of conservation and respect for this essential resource. Personal washing with limited water required techniques that maximized cleaning effectiveness while minimizing waste. People learned to wash systematically, starting with the cleanest parts of the body and progressing to areas that required more attention. Basins of water were often used by multiple family members, with fresh water added as needed and the washing order determined by social hierarchy and practical considerations. As you continue to relax, listening to the gentle sounds that surround you, imagine the peaceful satisfaction of medieval people who had learned to work within the constraints of their environment, while still maintaining standards of cleanliness and dignity. Their relationship with water was one of respect and gratitude, understanding that this precious resource was not unlimited, but required careful stewardship and community cooperation. Let this image of thoughtful conservation and mutual care guide you deeper into tranquility, where the simple act of caring for oneself and one's community becomes a meditation on the interconnectedness of all life. The warmth from your fireplace creates the perfect atmosphere as we delve deeper into one of the most misunderstood aspects of medieval life, the practice of bathing. Contrary to popular belief, medieval people did indeed bathe, though their approaches and frequencies differed significantly from our modern habits. As you sink further into comfort, let your imagination carry you to a time when bathing was both a practical necessity and a social ritual, conducted with care and intention in ways that reflected the values and constraints of medieval society. Medieval bathing was not a daily occurrence for most people, but when it happened, it was often a significant event that required considerable preparation and resources. The process began with the gathering of water, typically from the household's well or a nearby natural source. This water then needed to be heated, a process that required fuel and time. Large metal cauldrons or pottery vessels were placed over fires, and the water was gradually warmed to a comfortable temperature. The very effort required to prepare a bath made it something to be savored and appreciated rather than rushed through. In wealthy households, bathing was elevated to an art form that combined practical cleansing with social display and personal luxury. Wooden tubs, often lined with linen sheets to prevent splinters and provide comfort, were the vessels of choice for those who could afford them. These tubs were typically round or oval, deep enough to allow a person to sit with water covering most of their body. The finest households might have tubs made from expensive woods like oak or cedar, sometimes reinforced with metal bands and featuring carved decorations that reflected the family's status and wealth. The preparation of a medieval bath involved much more than simply filling a tub with water. Herbs were often added to the bath water, both for their cleansing properties and their pleasant fragrances. Lavender, rosemary, thyme, and mint were popular choices, each believed to have specific benefits for health and well-being. These herbs were sometimes sewn into linen bags that could be hung in the water or rubbed directly on the skin, creating a sensory experience that was both cleansing and therapeutic. Soap, when available, was a luxury item made from animal fats and ashes, often scented with herbs or flowers. The process of soap making was complex and required specialized knowledge, making ready-made soap expensive and highly valued. More commonly, people used various natural alternatives for cleansing: fuller's earth, a type of clay that absorbed oils and dirt; plant-based saponins found in certain roots and berries; or simple ash water, which created an alkaline solution effective for cleaning. The actual bathing process was typically a leisurely affair, quite different from our modern quick showers. Medieval bathers understood that the warm water and the time spent soaking were themselves beneficial, helping to soften the skin and open the pores for more effective cleaning. The water temperature was carefully managed, with additional hot water added as needed to maintain comfort. Servants in wealthy households were trained in the proper techniques for maintaining bath temperature and assisting with the bathing process. Medieval medical theory strongly supported the health benefits of bathing, though the understanding was different from our modern scientific knowledge. Physicians of the time believed that warm water helped balance the body's humors, promoted good circulation, and aided in the elimination of toxins through the skin. This medical backing gave bathing a legitimacy that countered any religious concerns about vanity or excessive attention to the body. Public bathhouses were common in many medieval towns and cities, serving as important social institutions that provided bathing opportunities for those who couldn't afford private facilities. These establishments varied in quality and reputation. From simple facilities offering basic washing services to elaborate enterprises that combined bathing with dining, entertainment, and social interaction. The better public baths offered private rooms, hot and cold water options, and attendants to assist with washing and grooming. The social aspects of medieval bathing were particularly fascinating. In many cultures, bathing was not a solitary activity, but a communal one that strengthened family bonds and social relationships. Families often bathed together, with children learning proper hygiene practices from their elders. Friends might share a bath, and in some contexts, mixed-gender bathing was acceptable, though this varied significantly based on local customs and religious attitudes. The timing of baths followed both practical and cultural patterns. Saturday evening was traditionally considered the ideal time for bathing in Christian communities, as it prepared people for the spiritual cleanliness required for Sunday worship. This weekly rhythm created a natural cycle of cleansing that integrated physical hygiene with spiritual preparation. Special occasions like weddings, religious festivals, or important social events often called for ceremonial bathing that marked the significance of the moment. Medieval bathing also had a strong therapeutic dimension that went beyond simple cleansing. Hot baths were prescribed for various ailments, from joint pain to melancholy. The addition of specific herbs to bath water was believed to treat different conditions: chamomile for skin problems, eucalyptus for respiratory issues, or rose petals for their supposed beneficial effects on the heart and emotions. This medicinal approach to bathing made it not just a hygiene practice, but a form of preventive health care. The materials used for drying after a bath were typically simple but effective. Linen towels, when available, were prized for their absorbent qualities and soft texture. More commonly, people used whatever cloth was available: hemp, wool, or cotton fabrics that served the purpose adequately, if not luxuriously. The wealthy might have towels specifically designated for bathing, while others made do with general-purpose cloth that served multiple household functions. After-bath care often included the application of oils or ointments to the skin, particularly during winter months when the combination of cold air and heated indoor spaces could cause drying and chapping. These preparations were usually simple mixtures of animal fats with herbs, providing both moisturizing and aromatic benefits. The knowledge of which substances worked best for skincare was passed down through generations, creating family traditions of post-bath treatments. The cleanup after a medieval bath was almost as involved as the preparation. The used water couldn't simply be drained away as in modern bathrooms. Instead, it had to be manually removed from the tub, often saved for other uses like washing clothes or cleaning floors. The tub itself required thorough cleaning and drying to prevent mold and deterioration. This labor-intensive cleanup process was another factor that made bathing a special occasion rather than a daily routine. As you continue to relax in the warmth of your space, imagine the peaceful satisfaction of a medieval person settling into a warm, herb-scented bath after days or weeks of simpler washing routines. The luxury of unlimited warm water, the pleasant fragrances of healing herbs, and the unhurried pace of the bathing ritual created moments of genuine pleasure and restoration in lives that were often filled with hard work and uncertainty. Let this image of simple luxury and mindful self-care carry you deeper into tranquility, where the act of cleansing becomes a meditation on renewal and the quiet appreciation of life's genuine pleasures. The gentle crackling of your fireplace mingles with the imagined fragrances of medieval herb gardens, as we explore how our ancestors used nature's bounty to enhance their hygiene and well-being. The medieval world was rich with aromatic plants and natural substances that served both practical and spiritual purposes in daily cleansing routines. Close your eyes and let the peaceful imagery of herb-scented medieval life surround you, carrying you deeper into the tranquil rhythm of a time when every plant had its purpose and every fragrance told a story. Medieval herb gardens were carefully Planned spaces that serve as outdoor pharmacies, perfumeries, and hygiene supply centers all in one. These gardens were typically located close to the main dwelling, where they could be easily tended and harvested. The arrangement of plants followed both practical and aesthetic principles, with aromatic herbs often planted along pathways where foot traffic would release their fragrances naturally. The medieval gardener understood that scent was not merely a luxury but an essential component of health and cleanliness. Lavender held a place of honor in medieval hygiene practices, valued not just for its beautiful purple flowers and calming fragrance, but for its powerful cleansing and preservative properties. The name itself comes from the Latin lavare, meaning to wash, reflecting its primary association with cleanliness. Medieval people dried lavender flowers and sewed them into small linen bags that could be added to bathwater, creating a naturally scented and therapeutic bathing experience. These same dried flowers were scattered among stored clothing to repel insects and impart a fresh scent to fabrics. Rosemary was another treasure of the medieval hygiene garden, beloved for its stimulating properties and clean, pine-like fragrance. Medieval physicians recommended rosemary water for washing hair, believing it strengthened the scalp and promoted healthy growth. The herb was also steeped in hot water to create aromatic steam treatments that were thought to clear the mind and purify the body. Sprigs of fresh rosemary were often hung in bathing areas, where the steam from hot water would release their invigorating scent. The preparation of herbal waters and oils was a sophisticated art in medieval households. Rose water, created by distilling fresh rose petals with water, was perhaps the most prized of all aromatic preparations. This fragrant liquid was used for washing the face and hands, particularly by wealthy women who understood its gentle cleansing properties and appealing scent. The process of making rose water was often a communal activity with family members, gathering to pick roses at dawn when their fragrance was strongest and the petals held the most essential oils. Mint, in its various forms, played a crucial role in medieval oral hygiene and general cleansing. Peppermint, spearmint, and other varieties were chewed fresh to sweeten the breath and clean the teeth. Mint leaves were also dried and powdered to create a tooth-cleaning preparation that freshened the mouth while providing mild abrasive action to remove food particles and staining. The cooling sensation of mint was particularly valued during warm weather, when it provided a refreshing element to washing routines. Medieval people understood the antibacterial properties of many herbs long before science could explain why these substances were effective. Thyme, sage, and oregano were frequently used in washing preparations, not just for their pleasant fragrances but for their ability to cleanse and purify. These herbs were often combined with other ingredients to create custom preparations suited to individual needs and preferences. The knowledge of which herbs worked best for different purposes was passed down through generations, creating family traditions of herbal hygiene that reflected both practical experience and personal taste. The collection and preparation of herbs followed seasonal rhythms that connected medieval people intimately with the natural world. Spring brought the first fresh herbs, eagerly gathered after months of relying on dried preparations. Summer was the time of abundance, when herbs were harvested, dried, and preserved for use throughout the year. Autumn required careful attention to proper drying and storage techniques, ensuring that the herbs retained their potency through the winter months. Essential oils, though not called by that name in medieval times, were extracted through various methods that captured the concentrated essence of aromatic plants. Steam distillation, learned from Islamic scholars, allowed medieval practitioners to create highly concentrated aromatic preparations that could be used sparingly but effectively. These oils were precious substances, often traded across long distances and valued as highly as monetary currency in some transactions. The application of these aromatic substances followed specific techniques that maximized their benefits while conserving these valuable preparations. A few drops of oil might be added to washing water, creating an aromatic and therapeutic bathing experience without waste. Herbs could be sewn into small cloth sachets that were reusable, allowing their fragrances and properties to be enjoyed repeatedly. The medieval mind was always conscious of conservation, finding ways to enjoy luxury without excess or waste. Different herbs were associated with specific times of day and particular purposes. Morning washing might involve invigorating herbs like rosemary or mint, designed to awaken the senses and prepare the body for the day's work. Evening cleansing routines often featured calming herbs like lavender or chamomile, substances that promoted relaxation and prepared the mind for rest. This careful attention to the emotional and physical effects of different fragrances showed a sophisticated understanding of how scent influenced mood and well-being. The social aspects of herbal hygiene created opportunities for sharing knowledge and strengthening community bonds. Women often gathered to share recipes for herbal preparations, exchanging techniques for extracting fragrances and preserving herbs. These gatherings were important social events that combined practical education with friendship and mutual support. The knowledge gained in these sessions was then passed down to daughters and granddaughters, creating continuous traditions of natural hygiene that connected generations. Medieval monasteries became centers of herbal knowledge where monks and nuns cultivated extensive gardens and developed sophisticated understanding of plant properties. These religious communities often served as hospitals and healing centers for their surrounding areas, and their herbal expertise was sought by people from all social levels. The careful documentation of herbal properties and preparation methods in monastery libraries preserved this knowledge through periods of social upheaval and change. The spiritual dimensions of aromatic herbs added another layer of meaning to medieval hygiene practices. Many herbs were associated with specific saints or religious festivals, and their use in cleansing routines carried symbolic significance beyond their practical benefits. The act of preparing and using these substances became a form of prayer and meditation, connecting the care of the body with the nurturing of the soul. Seasonal celebrations often incorporated special aromatic preparations that marked important moments in the medieval calendar. Wedding preparations might include special herbal baths for the bride, using herbs associated with love, fertility, and happiness. Religious festivals called for specific cleansing rituals that involved traditional aromatic substances, creating connections between personal hygiene and community celebration. As you continue to relax, surrounded by the gentle sounds and warmth of your peaceful space, imagine the quiet satisfaction of medieval people who lived surrounded by the natural fragrances of herbs and flowers. Their daily routines were enhanced by these simple but profound connections to the natural world, where every scent carried meaning and every plant offered gifts of beauty, health, and spiritual connection. Let this imagery of harmony between human needs and natural abundance guide you deeper into tranquility, where the simple act of washing becomes a celebration of the senses and a meditation on the generous provision of the earth. The comforting warmth of your fireplace continues to create the perfect ambiance as we explore one of the most intimate aspects of medieval hygiene, the care of teeth and mouth. While medieval dental practices might seem primitive by our standards, they reflected a sophisticated understanding of oral health that combined practical techniques with natural remedies and social customs. As you settle deeper into relaxation, let your mind wander to these gentler times when people approached dental care with the same thoughtful attention they gave to all aspects of personal maintenance. Medieval people understood the connection between oral health and overall well-being, though their explanations differed from our modern scientific understanding. They observed that people with clean, healthy teeth generally enjoyed better health and longer lives, and they developed various techniques to maintain oral hygiene using the materials and knowledge available to them. The medieval approach to dental care was holistic, addressing not just the cleaning of teeth, but the overall health of the mouth and gums. The primary tool for cleaning teeth in medieval times was the chew stick, a simple but effective device made from twigs of specific trees known for their beneficial properties. Birch, oak, and especially licorice root were favored for their natural antibacterial qualities and pleasant flavors. These sticks were chewed until one end became frayed and brush-like, creating a natural toothbrush that could remove food particles and plaque while massaging the gums. The preparation and use of chew sticks was often a quiet, meditative activity that people performed while engaged in other tasks. Salt played a crucial role in medieval oral hygiene, valued for its cleansing and preservative properties. Fine salt was rubbed directly onto the teeth and gums using fingers or small cloth strips, providing abrasive action that removed staining and food debris while killing harmful bacteria. The application of salt was often combined with aromatic herbs to create pleasant-tasting tooth-cleaning preparations that freshened the breath while promoting oral health. Herbal tooth powders were sophisticated preparations that combined various natural ingredients to create effective cleaning and freshening agents. Powdered mint, sage, and rosemary were common ingredients, each chosen for specific properties. Mint for its cooling and freshening effects, sage for its antibacterial qualities, and rosemary for its stimulating properties that promoted healthy gum circulation. These powders were often mixed with ground charcoal, which provided additional cleaning power and helped whiten teeth naturally. The medieval understanding of breath freshening went beyond simple masking of odors to address the underlying causes of mouth problems. Fresh herbs were commonly chewed throughout the day, not just for their pleasant flavors, but for their medicinal properties. Parsley was particularly valued for its ability to neutralize strong odors, while mint provided cooling refreshment and antibacterial benefits. These herbs were often cultivated specifically for oral hygiene purposes, ensuring a ready supply of fresh mouth care throughout the growing season. Medieval physicians recognized that diet played a crucial role in oral health, though their explanations were based on the theory of humors rather than our modern understanding of nutrition and bacterial action. They recommended avoiding foods that were thought to promote tooth decay and gum disease, while encouraging the consumption of foods believed to strengthen teeth and gums. Hard foods like nuts and crusts of bread were valued for their mechanical cleaning action, while fresh fruits and vegetables were appreciated for their cleansing and refreshing properties. The social aspects of oral hygiene in medieval times created interesting dynamics around shared meals and communal eating. Good breath and clean teeth were considered signs of good breeding and social refinement, particularly among the upper classes. People developed elaborate rituals for cleaning their mouths before and after meals, using scented waters and herbal preparations to ensure that their breath remained pleasant during social interactions. Tooth pain was a common problem in medieval times, and people developed various remedies to address dental discomfort. Cloves were particularly prized for their numbing properties, and oil of cloves was applied directly to aching teeth for pain relief. Willow bark, which contains natural aspirin-like compounds, was chewed or applied as a poultice to reduce dental pain and inflammation. These natural remedies were often remarkably effective, providing genuine relief for dental problems. When more sophisticated treatments were not available, the extraction of severely damaged teeth was performed by various practitioners, from trained physicians to traveling tooth pullers who visited villages and markets. While these procedures were undoubtedly painful and carried risks of infection, medieval people understood that removing a severely decayed tooth was often necessary to prevent more serious health problems. The extraction tools were simple but effective, and practitioners developed techniques to minimize trauma and promote healing. Medieval dental care also included attention to the appearance of teeth, particularly among the wealthy who could afford cosmetic treatments. Teeth were sometimes polished with abrasive substances to remove staining and create a brighter appearance. Various preparations were used to whiten teeth, including mixtures of herbs, salts, and other natural substances. While these treatments were not always safe or effective by modern standards, they reflected the medieval understanding that an attractive smile was an important component of overall appearance and social acceptance. The preservation of teeth was understood to be important, not just for eating but for speech and appearance. Medieval people observed that the loss of teeth affected the ability to speak clearly and could change the shape of the face in ways that aged people prematurely. This understanding motivated efforts to maintain oral health throughout life, using whatever techniques and materials were available to preserve the teeth for as long as possible. Water played an important role in medieval oral hygiene, though. The techniques differed from our modern practices. Mouth rinsing with clean water, sometimes flavored with herbs or salt, was a common practice after meals and before sleep. This rinsing helped remove food particles and freshen the mouth, while the mechanical action of swishing water provided some cleaning benefit for teeth and gums. The timing of oral hygiene activities followed patterns that integrated dental care into the broader rhythms of daily life. Morning mouth cleaning prepared people for the day's meals and social interactions, while evening dental care was part of the process of preparing for sleep. These routines were often performed in conjunction with other hygiene activities, creating comprehensive self-care rituals that addressed multiple aspects of personal maintenance efficiently. Special attention was given to oral hygiene during religious observances and social celebrations. Clean teeth and fresh breath were considered important for prayer and worship, reflecting the medieval belief that physical cleanliness contributed to spiritual purity. Wedding preparations often included elaborate oral hygiene rituals, ensuring that the bride and groom presented themselves at their best for this important life transition. As you continue to relax in the gentle warmth of your comfortable space, imagine the peaceful satisfaction of medieval people who took time each day to care for their teeth and mouths. Using these simple but effective techniques, their approach to oral hygiene was integrated into a broader understanding of health and well-being that valued natural remedies, preventive care, and the importance of maintaining dignity and social acceptability through proper personal maintenance. Let this image of thorough, thoughtful self-care guide you deeper into tranquility, where the simple act of maintaining oral health becomes a meditation on taking care of oneself with patience, attention, and respect for the body's needs. The soft rhythmic crackling of your fireplace creates a soothing backdrop as we explore the fascinating world of medieval hair care and grooming practices. Hair in medieval times was much more than a simple matter of personal appearance. It carried deep social, religious, and cultural significance that influenced how people approached its care and styling. As you sink deeper into comfort and relaxation, let your mind drift to those distant times, when hair care was both an art and a reflection of one's place in the complex tapestry of medieval society. Medieval hair care began with the fundamental understanding that clean, well-maintained hair was essential for health, appearance, and social acceptance. The process of washing hair was a significant undertaking that required considerable preparation and resources. Water had to be heated, often in large quantities, and the washing process itself was time-consuming and labor-intensive. For this reason, hair washing was typically done weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the season, available resources, and social circumstances. The preparation of hair washing water involved much more than simply heating ordinary water. Medieval people understood that different substances added to the wash water could enhance the cleaning process and improve the condition of the hair. Herbal preparations were particularly important, with different herbs chosen for their specific beneficial properties. Rosemary was highly prized for its ability to stimulate the scalp and promote healthy hair growth, while chamomile was valued for its gentle cleansing properties and its ability to add golden highlights to fair hair. Soap for hair washing was a luxury that few could afford on a regular basis. When available, it was often harsh and could leave hair feeling dry and brittle. More commonly, medieval people used various natural alternatives that were gentler and more readily available. Egg yolks, mixed with warm water and herbs, created a protein-rich cleanser that left hair soft and manageable. The proteins in the eggs helped strengthen the hair shaft while providing gentle cleansing action that removed dirt and oils without excessive harshness. Clay-based cleansers were another popular alternative to soap for hair washing. Fuller's earth, a type of absorbent clay, was mixed with water to create a paste that could be worked through the hair to absorb oils and dirt. This natural cleanser was particularly effective for people with oily hair, and it left the hair feeling clean and light without the drying effects of harsh soaps. The clay was typically rinsed out with multiple applications of clean water, a process that itself provided beneficial scalp massage. The drying of hair after washing was a careful process that took advantage of whatever heat sources were available. In wealthy households, hair might be dried near the fireplace, with servants carefully managing the process to ensure even drying without overheating. Combing wet hair was done gently, using wide-toothed combs made from wood, bone, or horn. These combs were often family heirlooms, carefully crafted and maintained, and passed down through generations as valuable possessions. Medieval combs were works of art as well as functional tools, often decorated with intricate carvings that reflected the owner's social status and personal taste. The wealthy might own combs made from expensive materials like ivory or silver, elaborately decorated with religious symbols, family crests, or decorative motifs. The care and maintenance of these combs was itself an important aspect of medieval grooming, with regular cleaning and oiling to preserve the materials and maintain their functionality. Hairstyling in medieval times followed specific conventions that reflected social rank, marital status, age, and religious beliefs. Unmarried women often wore their hair long and flowing, sometimes adorned with simple ribbons or floral wreaths that emphasized their youth and availability for marriage. Married women typically covered their hair as a sign of modesty and respectability, though the manner of covering varied widely based on local customs, social class, and personal preference. Men's hair care followed its own set of conventions and practical considerations. Hair length and styling often reflected profession, social status, and religious affiliation. Monks, for example, had distinctive tonsure patterns that marked their religious vocation, while knights and nobles might wear their hair in styles that accommodated the wearing of helmets and other protective gear. The maintenance of men's facial hair was equally important, with beards carefully trimmed and groomed according to social expectations and personal preference. The medieval understanding of hair health was based on the same humoral theory that influenced all aspects of medical care. Hair problems were often attributed to imbalances in the body's humors, and treatments were designed to restore proper balance through diet, herbal preparations, and specific grooming practices. Excessive hair loss, for example, might be treated with topical applications of herbs believed to have warming properties, while oily hair might be addressed with substances thought to have drying effects. Herbal hair treatments were sophisticated preparations that addressed various hair and scalp conditions. Nettle preparations were used to combat hair loss and promote growth, while sage was employed to darken gray hair and add shine. Chamomile was used to lighten hair color naturally, and lavender was valued for its ability to soothe irritated scalps and add a pleasant fragrance to freshly washed hair. These treatments were often prepared in small batches and used fresh. As medieval people understood that the potency of herbal preparations decreased over time, the social aspects of hair care created opportunities for bonding and community among women, who often helped each other with the complex processes of washing, drying, and styling long hair. These grooming sessions were important social events that allowed for the sharing of techniques, recipes for hair preparations, and general conversation that strengthened relationships within the community. Mothers taught daughters the proper techniques for hair care, passing down family traditions and beauty secrets that connected generations. Hair accessories and decorative elements played important roles in medieval grooming, serving both functional and aesthetic purposes. Hairpins made from metal, bone, or wood held elaborate styles in place while adding decorative elements to the overall appearance. Ribbons, cords, and nets provided additional styling options while helping to contain long hair during work or daily activities. These accessories were often handmade and personalized, reflecting individual creativity and skill in decorative arts. The preservation of hair color and the prevention of premature graying were concerns that led to various medieval treatments and preparations. Henna, imported from regions where it grew naturally, was used to add reddish tints to hair while conditioning and strengthening the hair shaft. Various herbal preparations were believed to preserve natural hair color and prevent the onset of gray hair, though these treatments were often based more on hope and tradition than proven effectiveness. Seasonal variations in hair care reflected the practical realities of medieval life and the availability of resources. Summer provided opportunities for more frequent washing and the use of fresh herbs and flowers in hair treatments. Winter required adaptations that conserved heat and resources while still maintaining acceptable standards of cleanliness and grooming. Spring often brought special attention to hair care as people prepared for the social activities and celebrations that accompanied the warmer weather. The connection between hair care and overall health was well understood in medieval times, though the explanations were based on humoral theory rather than modern scientific understanding. People observed that healthy hair was often a sign of good general health, while poor hair condition might indicate underlying health problems. This understanding motivated careful attention to hair care as part of an overall approach to maintaining health and well-being. As you continue to relax in the warmth and comfort of your peaceful space, imagine the gentle satisfaction of medieval people who took time each week to care for their hair with patience, skill, and attention to beauty. Their approach to hair care was integrated into a broader understanding of personal maintenance that valued both practical cleanliness and aesthetic appeal. The rituals of washing, drying, and styling hair created opportunities for meditation, social connection, and the quiet appreciation of beauty in daily life. Let this image of unhurried, thoughtful grooming guide you deeper into tranquility, where the care of the body becomes a celebration of health, beauty, and the simple pleasures of taking time to nurture oneself properly. The gentle, steady warmth from your fireplace creates the perfect atmosphere as we explore how medieval people cared for their clothing and textiles, an essential aspect of hygiene that required considerable skill, patience, and community cooperation. In an era when clothing was precious and textiles were often handmade, the maintenance of garments was a careful art that connected personal cleanliness with economic necessity and social respectability. As you settle even deeper into relaxation, let your mind wander to those methodical times when the care of clothing was both a practical necessity and a meditation on thrift, skill, and the value of preserving what one possessed. Medieval clothing. Care began with the understanding that garments were valuable possessions that needed to last for years, often decades, and sometimes even generations. The process of creating cloth from raw materials, whether wool, linen, or more exotic fibers, was extremely labor-intensive and time-consuming. From the shearing of sheep or harvesting of flax to the final weaving of cloth, countless hours of human labor went into every piece of fabric. This awareness of the true cost of textiles influenced every aspect of how medieval people approached clothing care and maintenance. The weekly washing of clothes was a major household event that required significant preparation and community cooperation. Large quantities of water needed to be heated, and the washing itself was a physically demanding process that often involved multiple household members or neighbors working together. The timing of washing days was carefully planned around weather conditions, with sunny, breezy days preferred for their superior drying conditions. These communal washing days became important social events that strengthened community bonds while accomplishing necessary work. The preparation of wash water involved much more than simply heating ordinary water. Medieval people understood that different additives could improve the cleaning process and help preserve the fabric. Lye, made from wood ashes, created an alkaline solution that was effective for removing oils and stains. The preparation of lye required knowledge of which woods produced the best ash and how to extract the alkaline compounds properly. This process was often done in large batches, with families sharing both the work and the resulting cleaning solution. Soap, when available, was a precious commodity used sparingly and with great care. The soap-making process itself was complex and somewhat dangerous, involving the careful combination of fats and lye at specific temperatures and concentrations. Most soap in medieval times was harsh by modern standards, effective for cleaning but potentially damaging to delicate fabrics if used improperly. For this reason, the most valuable garments were often cleaned using gentler methods that preserved the fabric while still achieving adequate cleanliness. Different types of stains required different treatment approaches, and medieval people developed sophisticated knowledge about stain removal that was passed down through generations. Blood stains, common in an era when minor injuries were frequent, were treated with cold water and salt, techniques that remain effective today. Grease stains might be treated with fuller's earth or other absorbent materials, while fruit stains could often be removed with acids like vinegar or lemon juice when available. The washing process itself was carefully orchestrated to maximize cleaning while minimizing damage to the fabrics. Garments were sorted by color, fabric type, and degree of soiling, ensuring that delicate items weren't damaged by contact with heavily soiled or rough materials. The washing was typically done in wooden tubs or natural pools, with clothes agitated by hand or beaten gently with wooden paddles. This physical process required skill and experience to achieve thorough cleaning, without causing unnecessary wear to the fabrics. Rinsing was as important as washing in medieval textile care, requiring multiple changes of clean water to remove all traces of soap and dirt. The quality of rinse water was carefully monitored, as any residual soap or alkaline substances could damage the fabric over time or cause skin irritation when the garments were worn. The final rinse often included additions like vinegar, which helped neutralize any remaining alkaline residues and added a fresh scent to the clothes. Drying clothes was a process that required both patience and careful attention to weather conditions. Garments were typically spread on bushes, hung on lines, or laid flat on clean surfaces where air could circulate around them. The position of drying clothes was carefully managed to ensure even drying while protecting them from excessive sun exposure that could fade colors or damage fibers. The drying process also provided opportunities for neighbors to interact and share news while tending to their household tasks. The pressing and smoothing of dried clothes was accomplished using various techniques that achieved acceptable results. Without the benefit of modern irons, clothes might be pressed under heavy stones, smoothed with heated metal implements, or carefully folded while still slightly damp to minimize wrinkles. These techniques required skill and experience to achieve good results without damaging the fabric or creating unwanted creases that would be difficult to remove. Mending and repair were integral parts of medieval clothing care, as the replacement of garments was expensive and often impractical. Skilled needlework could extend the life of clothing significantly, with patches, reinforcements, and careful repairs, keeping garments serviceable for many years. The art of invisible mending was particularly valued, as it allowed valuable garments to be repaired without obvious signs of wear or damage that might affect the wearer's social standing. Storage of clean clothes required careful attention to preventing damage from insects, moisture, and other environmental factors. Aromatic herbs like lavender, mint, and rosemary were placed among stored garments to repel insects while imparting pleasant fragrances. Cedar chests and other wooden storage containers provided protection from vermin while allowing some air circulation. The folding and arrangement of stored clothes followed specific techniques that minimized creasing while making efficient use of limited storage space. Seasonal care of clothing involved different approaches for different types of garments and weather conditions. Heavy woolen clothes worn during winter required special care to prevent moth damage during storage in warmer months. Summer garments needed protection from excessive moisture and mildew during the damp winter season. These seasonal transitions often involved community-wide activities where families worked together to clean, repair, and properly store the previous season's clothing while preparing garments for the coming weather. The social aspects of clothing care created important opportunities for skill sharing and community bonding. Experienced women taught younger ones the proper techniques for washing different types of fabric, removing specific types of stains, and repairing various kinds of damage. These teaching moments were often combined with storytelling, conversation, and the sharing of family traditions that connected generations and strengthened community relationships. Personal hygiene and clothing care were closely connected in medieval understanding, as clean clothes were seen as essential for personal cleanliness and social respectability. The undergarments that came into direct contact with the body required the most frequent washing and careful maintenance. These items were typically made from linen, which was valued for its ability to absorb moisture and its relative ease of washing compared to woolen outer garments. The connection between clean clothes and health was well understood in medieval times, though the explanations were based on humoral theory rather than modern understanding of bacteria and disease transmission. People observed that those who maintained clean clothing generally enjoyed better health and were less likely to suffer from skin problems and other ailments. This understanding motivated careful attention to clothing hygiene as part of an overall approach to maintaining health and well-being. Specialized clothing for different activities required specific care approaches that reflected their particular uses and requirements. Work clothes needed frequent washing and robust repair techniques that could withstand hard use, while ceremonial garments required gentle care that preserved their appearance and special decorative elements. Religious vestments and other specialized clothing often received particular attention, with their care sometimes becoming a form of devotional practice that connected physical maintenance with spiritual meaning. As you continue to rest in the comfortable warmth of your peaceful space, imagine the quiet satisfaction of medieval people who took time each week to carefully tend to their clothing and textiles with skill, patience, and respect for the value of what they possessed. Their approach to clothing care was integrated into a broader understanding of household management that valued thrift, skill, and community cooperation. The rhythms of washing, drying, mending, and storing clothes created opportunities for social connection, skill development, and the meditative satisfaction that comes from caring properly for one's possessions. Let this image of careful stewardship and community cooperation guide you deeper into tranquility, where the simple act of maintaining what we have becomes a meditation on gratitude, responsibility, and the quiet pleasure of caring for the things that sustain and protect us in daily life. The warm, steady glow of your fireplace now seems to pulse gently with the rhythm of your peaceful breathing as we approach the final chapter of our medieval hygiene journey. The flames dance quietly, creating patterns of light and shadow that seem to echo the gentle movements of a mind preparing for deep, restorative sleep. As you sink into the ultimate comfort of your resting place, let these final moments carry you into the same peaceful satisfaction that medieval people felt at the end of their long days, when all tasks were complete and the body and soul could finally surrender to the healing embrace of sleep. The medieval understanding of rest was profoundly different from our modern approach to sleep and relaxation. For people living in that era, the end of the day brought not just physical rest, but a spiritual transition that marked the completion of daily obligations and the beginning of renewal. The careful attention they gave to personal hygiene and cleanliness throughout the day culminated in the peaceful satisfaction of a body properly cared for and a conscience clear of the day's responsibilities. As evening approached in medieval households, the rituals of preparing for sleep began with the same thoughtful attention that characterized all aspects of daily life. The final washing of hands and face with cool, clean water served both practical and symbolic purposes, removing the day's accumulation of dust and work while providing a clear transition between the activities of daylight and the rest of darkness. This simple ritual, performed by candlelight or firelight, created a moment of quiet reflection that helped settle the mind for sleep. The preparation of the sleeping area reflected the medieval understanding that good rest required attention to cleanliness, comfort, and spiritual peace. Beds, when available, were carefully maintained with fresh straw or other filling materials that provided both comfort and cleanliness. Bed linens, precious possessions in most households, were shaken out and arranged to provide maximum comfort while preserving their condition for long use. The simple act of preparing one's bed became a meditation on the gift of rest and the importance of caring for the spaces that nurture and restore us. Medieval people understood intuitively what modern science has confirmed, that the quality of sleep depends greatly on the condition of the body and the peace of the mind. Their daily attention to hygiene and cleanliness contributed to physical comfort that promoted restful sleep. Clean skin, free from the irritation of accumulated dirt and sweat, allowed for more comfortable rest. Clean clothes and bedding provided sensory comfort that helped the mind relax and release the tensions of the day. The spiritual dimensions of medieval sleep preparation reflected the deep integration of physical and spiritual life that characterized medieval society. Evening prayers often included gratitude for the day's blessings and requests for peaceful rest and protection during the vulnerable hours of sleep. The act of commending oneself to divine care before sleep provided psychological comfort that eased the transition from consciousness to rest, creating conditions that promoted both physical and spiritual restoration. The seasonal rhythms that governed medieval life extended into sleep patterns in ways that connected rest with the natural world. Winter evenings, long and cold, invited extended periods of rest that allowed bodies to conserve energy and minds to process the experiences of the day through dreams and deep sleep. Summer nights, shorter but warmer, encouraged different patterns of rest that took advantage of comfortable temperatures and the long daylight hours that had allowed for extended work periods. The communal aspects of medieval sleep reflected the social nature of medieval life, where privacy was limited and family members often shared sleeping spaces for warmth, security, and economy. These shared sleeping arrangements created opportunities for quiet conversation, the sharing of thoughts about the day's events, and the gentle comfort that comes from the presence of loved ones. Children learned the rituals of sleep preparation by observing their elders, absorbing not just practical techniques, but also the attitudes of gratitude and peace that characterized healthy approaches to rest. Medieval dreams were understood to carry meaning and significance that connected the sleeping mind with both divine communication and the processing of daily experiences. The quality of one's hygiene and spiritual state before sleep was believed to influence the nature of dreams, with clean bodies and clear consciences promoting restful sleep and beneficial dreams. This understanding motivated careful attention to both physical cleanliness and spiritual preparation as essential elements of healthy rest. The healing aspects of sleep were well understood in medieval times, though the explanations were based on humoral theory rather than modern scientific knowledge. People observed that adequate rest was essential for physical healing, emotional balance, and mental clarity. The careful attention they gave to hygiene and cleanliness throughout the day was understood to contribute to the restorative power of sleep, creating conditions that allowed the body's natural healing processes to work most effectively. The gradual transition from wakefulness to sleep in medieval times was often a gentle process that honored the natural rhythms of the body and mind. Without the artificial lighting that characterizes modern life, people naturally began to feel sleepy as darkness fell, creating a smooth transition from the activities of day to the rest of night. This natural pattern promoted deeper, more restorative sleep that left people feeling refreshed and ready for the challenges of the coming day. The medieval understanding of sleep as a gift rather than simply a biological necessity created attitudes of gratitude and appreciation that enhanced the quality of rest. People approached sleep with thankfulness for the day's survival, gratitude for the provision of food and shelter, and appreciation for the opportunity to rest and restore their strength. These positive emotions contributed to psychological states that promoted peaceful, restorative sleep. The connection between daily hygiene practices and quality sleep was intuitively understood by medieval people, who observed that clean bodies and minds rested more easily than those burdened by physical discomfort or mental agitation. The simple rituals of washing, grooming, and tidying that marked the end of each day created psychological as well as physical preparation for rest, helping to settle both body and mind for the healing work of sleep. As the fire beside you continues to crackle softly, its warmth now seeming to penetrate not just your body, but your very essence. Imagine the deep satisfaction of a medieval person settling into clean, comfortable bedding after a day of meaningful work and careful attention to personal care. Their bodies clean and comfortable, their minds clear and peaceful, and their spirits grateful and trusting, created the perfect conditions for the deep, restorative sleep that renewed them for the challenges and opportunities of each new day. The medieval night was not something to be feared or hurried through, but rather embraced as a necessary and beneficial part of life's rhythm. In the darkness, illuminated only by the gentle glow of banked fires or the occasional candle, people found peace in the simplicity of their lives and comfort in the knowledge that they had fulfilled their daily obligations with care and attention to both practical needs and spiritual requirements. Let the gentle rhythm of your breathing now match the peaceful cadence of those medieval nights, when time moved slowly and sleep came naturally to bodies and minds that had been properly cared for throughout the day. Feel the weight of your limbs growing heavier, your thoughts becoming softer and more distant, as you join the countless generations who have found peace and restoration in sleep's gentle embrace. The warmth that surrounds you now is the same warmth that comforted our ancestors, the universal human need for rest, comfort, and renewal. As your consciousness gently releases its hold on the day's concerns and allows itself to drift into the peaceful realm of sleep, carry with you the wisdom of those who understood that true rest comes not just from the absence of activity, but from the presence of peace, cleanliness, and gratitude for the simple gifts of life. In this moment of perfect relaxation, you embody the same peaceful satisfaction that marked the end of countless medieval days, when people who had lived simply and mindfully settled into rest with hearts full of gratitude and minds clear of unnecessary worry. Let this ancient wisdom of peaceful living guide you now into the deep, restorative sleep that awaits, where body and mind can perform their essential work of healing, renewal, and preparation for whatever tomorrow may bring. The fire beside you will continue to burn gently through the night, its warm light a symbol of the continuity of human comfort and the enduring rhythms that connect us with all who have found peace in rest, restoration, and the simple miracle of waking refreshed to greet each new day with energy, purpose, and joy. Sleep now as peacefully as any medieval soul who ever found rest after a day well lived, a body well cared for, and a spirit at peace with the world and its gentle rhythms. Let sleep come naturally, easily, and completely, bringing with it all the healing and renewal that rest can provide to those who approach it with the right spirit of gratitude, peace, and trust in the benevolent order of things. Rest now in the warmth and peace that surround you, carried into sleep by the gentle wisdom of centuries past and the timeless human understanding that proper rest is both a necessity and a gift, something to be received gratefully and enjoyed completely. Sleep peacefully, sleep deeply, and wake refreshed, renewed, and ready for all the good things that tomorrow will bring.